In this video, let's take the next step in our corner search walkthrough and let's get our record data in for lot 19. Now, I took you in the previous video out to this tax lot map, and kind of interestingly enough, and I haven't worked a lot in Lincoln County, but if you'll notice down here, I've got latitude and longitude. So it could be I could have started over here in this northeast corner and just pick the latitude and longitude of the cursor to start entering the record data, and I might end up being pretty close to where it actually is supposed to be. But I'm actually going to just enter this at 00 or 5000, 5000, and in another step in this walkthrough we'll do the calibration. So what I'm primarily interested in is in my research folder. If you watched that previous video, I brought up the Evergreen Meadows filed survey. And I'm really interested in zooming in on these calls here and recreating these bearings and distances for all of these lots. Lots 15 over here, I think it's down here a little bit, yeah, 15 through 23. And that'll bring in all of these property corners that I need for lot 15, plus give me an opportunity to check my closure because I want to make sure I didn't read some of these things wrong. And can you see on the south line here, they're telling me here's L3, so I've got some L3 information from here to here, and then from here to here I've got L2, but along the way I've got these short segments, and I need to create these short segments because I need record positions for these corners in case I'm missing corners when I get there. And you'll see, we'll go ahead and put this in, and it's really pretty easy to do inside of Traverse PC. So this is my final. I actually went back to the backups and pulled up the first one here, and just for this video I saved it off as a research file, and I've actually put this in that same folder I talked to you about. Remember I said I create a research subfolder for all my research data, and I went ahead and just put this TRV file, called it 2301 research, and that's one I've loaded here, so you can see how I actually put this in. So here's that northeast corner of the block, and I entered all these calls around the block back here to the beginning, and that traverse is called lots 15 through 23. It has 34 points in it, and then I simply recalled the points that defined lot 19, including this point 35 here, and now I have a traverse for just that lot. So let's go ahead and talk about how we put this in. And again, I did all this at 5000, 5000, but we saw in that tax lot map that I could have started with the latitude and longitude here. I generally like to have bigger differences in coordinates so that when I calibrate it, I see everything kind of jump on top of each other like it should, instead of maybe being 2 feet off if I was close but not quite by using this latitude and longitude. It's just a personal preference of mine. So let's go ahead and show you how I entered these. In the survey, I just came down and double-clicked a blank line, and I said I want to start lots 15 through 23, and I'll say again, just so we know this is what I'm working on here. I don't know if we have curve information in there or not. I'll just do a deed here for now, and I'm going to use property lines is what I want. Here we go, and let's choose OK. So Traverse PC is going to bring up a traverse view for me, and I'm going to set this up so that I'm going to call these LL1, and let's come over and start at 5000, 5000. Now I've got all of these traverses tagged. I'm going to untag those two so we can kind of start over and see what we actually get when we enter this data. So I'm going to take a look at my tax lot map now, and let's bring up that PDF that we had. Here we go. And I see I've got 125.02 feet from this existing pin, and mostly what I'm going to find are found 5/8 rebar. So let's go ahead and put that in for the description. Let's call it found 5/8 inch rebar. And I'm going to do something kind of interesting here. I'm going to go into our view, format view, and in the format section here, I'm going to say copy that down, because almost everything I am going to set here or create here are those property coordinates that I should be able to find. Okay, so hopefully I'm going to be able to find those there, and I could even do this. I could just say 5/8 rebar. Won't even say if I found it yet or not, but that's what that should be. And now I go back to my PDF and let's enter 125.02, and my bearing, I see they've just got it labeled on the center line. This is southeast, but I want to go the other direction, so I'm going to go northwest. So I'm going to enter a northwest 85 20 20. So let's put those in. So northwest is 485 20 20. That's my bearing. And remember my distance then, if I go back here to the PDF, 125.02. Let's put that in. 125.02. Now I should have set that first. And if I put this in here, it'll copy down. You just have to kind of have it catch up to me here. Now I think it'll copy down for us the way we expect it to. Okay, so my next bearing, I can repeat just by pressing the space bar, enter. Kind of nice, isn't it? And then I can go back to my survey. See, here's 90, 90, 142.02. Let's enter those. 90, space enter, 90, space enter, 142.02. So do you see how fast it is to actually enter this information in here? And Traverse BC is drawing it as I go. It's numbering, incrementing the point numbers, LL 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm extending that direction of 85, 20, 20 just by pressing space and enter. And I'm just entering that data as fast as I can on the keyboard. So I just followed this all the way around. Remember I said when I got to these L8, L7, L6, L5, I had to look those up in the line table, and I had to make sure I got all of these short distances in, because those are pins that I may need to search for. And of course then I came all the way back around, and I've already entered that in this first traverse. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this one. I don't often remove something from the survey, but I will this particular case, because you can see I've already entered all of this information all the way around. Now I could have put in 5/8 rebar like this. I actually instead in my description said that's the northeast corner of lot 23. Here's the northwest corner of lot 16. Okay. And I actually created a separate unique point label for my closing point, because I want to go to the closure. And I want to say, okay, this is a closed loop. And because it's a closed loop, it'll actually compute the area for me. But I also want it to give me my closing error. So I have a linear closing error of 0.07 feet. I'm happy with that. I've got 700ths in the northing and 100th in the easting. And I've gone back and checked these numbers against the survey that was filed. I've gone back and checked these numbers against the tax lot map, and I'm pretty comfortable that I have everything that I need then to accurately represent that. And then the last thing I did real quickly is that I went into lot 19, and I just started recalling these points. 8, 20, 21, 22, 7, 8, and Traverse PC put these in for me. I'll show you real quickly how that works up here. Let's go ahead and zoom in just a little bit here. Let's make sure we've got point numbers on everything. And I'll give those a little bit of an angle just so we can have them differentiated here. Okay, so L7, L8. Let's just recall this, and I want to show you how that works real quick. I'll just create a new lot 9. And I'm just going to type in capitals because it's capital L7. Traverse PC says that point already exists. I just recall it. L8, L20, L21, L22, L35, and let's come back to L7, and I'm going to press the up arrow so it doesn't create the next point down there. And you can see if I view just this traverse all by itself, I've got that traverse, lot 9. Okay, so I just created a new one just to see what it looked like. I'm going to close out the traverse now. Tell it no, I don't want to save that temporary drawing. And I'll go ahead and delete this new one that I created because I already had it created. And that's the one that's up here in the traverses. So I now have everything ready to take out in the field with me. I've got these labeled with distances only. I don't need bearings out there in the field. I've got all the distances I need to check. And I'm going to try first to find these property corners. If I don't find these, I'm going to extend out a ways and pick up the next monuments so I can proportion these back in. I often will pick up some of these monuments anyhow to get a better calibration. I want to get enough points here so that I'm pretty comfortable that I can bring this record data up to my GNSS coordinate system and have it be where it should be. Okay, so now we've got our record data in. We're ready for the next step.